Nithyanandam everyone! Welcome back to the Kundalini Yogini. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to join me on a journey of conscious living and living spiritually in our modern world. So today I am going to be talking a little bit deeper about drugs and specifically about psychedelics. I'm really interested to start discussing this deeper with you guys. I have an old video I'll link down below which I talked about psychedelics and their relation to spirituality and if they're, required on the path. And I got a really great response and loved discussing that topic with you guys. And somebody actually recently asked me to discuss if psychedelics are almost like cheating your way to enlightenment, if they are like a shortcut on the path. And I wanted to answer this question in an entire video about this. So a little bit of background about me for those of you who don't know. I have been studying yoga and Hinduism specifically in India for the last few years directly under my guru, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, and I have been basically learning a lot of these Eastern traditions that have changed my life from the source in India. And along this journey, actually before I officially moved there, I started living a sober lifestyle. And so for a little over 2 years, I lived completely sober without any alcohol or drugs. Now rewind, before that I had experienced and dabbled a bit with certain substances, and I want to be straight up with you guys about it because in some ways I think it's a good thing. I'm talking from experience of both sides of the spectrum. I experienced what they are like, what they do, and I've also experienced the other side of choosing to not have them in my life. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about why that is and how my perspective and what my understanding from the teachings of Sanatana Dharma, of Hinduism, the science of enlightenment on psychedelics. So first and foremost, I want to share with you guys that I do not believe you can write off or label something as completely good or completely bad. And I think this applies to psychedelics as well. I would not say at all that, it's a wrong choice or a decision or a right choice or a decision. I think it's very, very much about the context of why you do everything. And in Hinduism, and this is why I love this path so much, why I've personally chosen to follow it, is because it gives you the freedom to not have so much of this like moral black and white, which really leads to a lot of incompletion and fear-based living, that I've experienced in the past when I was following Christianity. But it's all about the context of why we do things. So if something no longer serves us anymore, then we might choose to drop it. If it still feels like it's serving us in some way, we might entertain it in our lives for the time being, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a substance, whether that's a life choice, a diet, whatever it may be. So that being said, I truly do believe that there is an auspicious reason why these substances, specifically psychedelics, do exist, and why they've been, why they're present on Earth. I think there's a purpose behind everything, right? And I think it would be ignorant to say that there isn't. And I think that they definitely serve their purpose. And I believe that people can definitely use them as a tool on their journey. That being said, what I really want to share is that the one worrisome thing I would say that I see is that instead of people using psychedelics as a stepping stone, an optional stepping stone, they use it as a crutch. And I think as with anything in life, if you are using anything outside of your own inner space to give you a certain experience and you start to rely on it in any way, shape, or form, whether it's, very minor or major, I see that as a problem, as not the highest solution, the highest experience, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you leave this body, when you die, and even when you're alive, the only thing that you have at the end of the day is you. The only thing that exists in your reality is you, your consciousness. And so if there's something outside of you that you need to have a certain experience, I've come to the conclusion in my own life that I want to be powerful enough to experience anything that I want at my will without needing anything. Then that was just, I don't know, maybe I'm unique in that way, but I always had that feeling of like, why is it that we wait to connect to people if we're like on drugs? Or why is it that people only feel they can open up when they're drunk? Like, and you know, all these lines of thought I've had many times where part of me, my consciousness didn't understand why we couldn't just tap into our natural state naturally without anything. And so that being said, that's why I have chosen to live a life where I know that I don't need those things to experience higher states of consciousness, oneness, some call it, with the world, with other beings, opening up to people. I can do that at my will, and I don't need those things to do it anymore. But I do understand that for some people, psychedelics can be that doorway into spirituality. And I've actually seen this for a lot of people that I knew that were not at all really spiritually seeking until they had this profound experience on psychedelics, and it really kind of opened their eyes, and you know, an awakening happened, so to speak, and it led them down that path. And in that regard, I think it's so beautiful. I think it's an amazing thing that you can tap into if you choose to do them. Again, that being said, I also truly, truly believe you do not need them to have those experiences. And that's the information that I want you guys, my audience, to have, is that whatever you decide, I want you to understand that with or without them, you can have those states of consciousness and those experiences. And I'll just open up about one story to conclude this video, is that actually before I ever did psychedelics, I had very profound experiences in India under my guru at the program that I attended the first time I went to India, during a death meditation, and a few times during these other meditation processes that we were with the physical presence of my guru as he was doing these energy initiations, and we were sitting in sacred mandalas. It was some of the most eye-opening experiences of my life, to say the least, and I couldn't believe what I was experiencing in my body. I completely experienced ego death, of losing all sense of self, and experiencing what it is to really merge in oneness with our consciousness and the source. When we lose complete identity of being this body and this mind and this personality, I experienced those states. And so fast forward, when I actually decided to try psychedelics, specifically I did LSD, and I had a very beautiful, profound spiritual experience when I did it. But the coolest thing was, it only affirmed the fact that I already experienced those states of consciousness before. I had those experiences just through initiation by my guru, just through being in the breathing space of an enlightened being. I felt those states of consciousness. I experienced different planes of the universe and different dimensions completely sober. And so it was really cool and affirming in a way that, like, wow, this was a beautiful experience, but I know that I can do this without it. I have been gifted those experiences before, and I know that I'm able to tap into those states of consciousness now that I'm initiated into them, and I've learned these practices of meditation and yoga. So that's what I'd like to leave you guys with, is that just know those experiences are something that come from inside of you ultimately. And sometimes psychedelics help break down, I guess, our barriers, our mind barriers, our thought barriers to experiencing complete unclutching and letting go. Like basically letting go of the brakes and allowing that consciousness to take hold of us. But we can truly, truly experience that as a sober being, and as ultimately a constant state of being, the more and more that we grow our consciousness, and the more that we give ourselves that space to transcend the mind, transcend our thoughts and our connection to our ego, and allow our consciousness to flower in that way and connect into a pure space of being. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with is coming back to the question, are psychedelics cheating your way to enlightenment? And I think the answer is yes and no. Psychedelics can open the doorway into those experiences of higher states of consciousness, but they cannot sustain you in that space. So just know that if you decide for that they can give you a glimpse of that experience of higher states of consciousness, of that oneness experience, but they can't keep you in that state. Only you can do that, and that is through your own inner journey of awakening. So I hope this was a little bit of an enlightening video for you guys. This is again just my personal experiences, and also experiences that have been gifted to me ultimately by my guru, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And so yeah, I just really wanted to open up with you guys about this again, and you can definitely, I would love for you guys to hear what my guru actually says about the physical effects of psychedelics and any type of substance on your consciousness. That's info that I wish that I had also before I embarked on this journey, and I think it's really, really useful information for anybody who's thinking about it. So I'm going to link those videos down below. What he says on it is very profound, so I'd love for you guys to check that out also. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope this was an interesting video. Leave your comments and your experiences down below. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, and if you have any further questions. Thanks guys, Nithyanandam.